In an English classroom, teacher says to class, can anyone give me an example of a very, very long sentence? Temba stands up and goes, life in prison. Good evening and welcome to Talk with Rams. It's Wednesday. It is Wisdom Wednesday, as we always have it on a Wednesday. We are on Talk with Rams on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube page, for which you qualify. If you did that, you qualify for a 50% discount on the book by Dr. Thando Sibanda, The Winning Mindset. You just take a picture of your subscription, send it to admin at Talk with Rams, and we will get Dr. T to give you your book at 50% discount. You can't ask for more during this COVID. Please like our page on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. All pages are Talk with Rams. The Facebook page has got a live at the end, but they're all Talk with Rams, really. You can't miss them. Talk with Rams is brought to you by Kana Coffee, the most delicious and best tasting coffee with extreme health benefits. Manufactured by Kana Coffee Company, this coffee has potent, creamy, and long-lasting flavors which are low in acidity and delightfully romantic. To buy Kana Coffee or acquire the Kana Coffee franchise, call 082 4112. No, I got the number wrong. 082 730 4112. 082 730 4112. On Monday, I asked you to rather follow, like, or subscribe to the show's social pages rather than my personal pages. I repeat that appeal. Please, let's do it that way. But let me deal with another elephant in the room. There is a person on Instagram who calls themselves Rams Mabote. That person is not me. I do not sell Bitcoin. I do not know what Bitcoin is. I'm still trying to learn what Bitcoin is. So I am not that person. The page was hacked in December 2018, and I have for months tried to warn people to unfollow the hacker and even report the page. So if you are following the page, please get out now and report that page as a scam. I have not sold anybody any Bitcoin. Please, I am not that fellow. If you are really interested in following me on Instagram, well, my page is called Rams by the Horns. But I still am interested in you. I prefer for you to follow Talk with Rams. I prefer to follow the platforms that have something to offer. My personal pages are honestly of no value to you. I am not lying when I say that. I mean, let me give you an example. Today, a grown-ass man took offense of a post I made on Facebook that poked fun at Arsenal Football Club. I mean, really? This guy got angry as if I'm talking about his mother. I mean, even my guest tonight is an Arsenal fan. He didn't take offense, but this guy thought like, I'm insulting him. So rather, let's stick to the platform where there's value offered and don't listen to my jokes on Facebook. And there are many of those. One day, I'll make fun of something you like and you're going to get angry. On this platform, I offer only value. Don't worry about following me as Rams, man. Akisha, trust me, Kisha. Anyway, thank you very much for choosing to join us. We truly appreciate your patronage. We hope you get value. We hope you share this platform with many other people to join us on this journey. Not that it is different on any given day, but Wednesdays are dedicated to bringing voice of wisdom and education. And tonight is no different. After a long hibernation, my good friend and our local resident startup coach, Edwin Matlapeng, is back. And tonight we focus on the type of business that always seems attractive to people starting up in the journey of entrepreneurship: franchising. Well, Coach Edwin says it is not as easy and not always as successful as it is made to be. I want to hear your experiences. Send us your voice notes on 0672718239, or you can send your comments and questions on Facebook or Instagram. I will be able to read them. Good evening, Coach Edwin, my brother, and welcome.
Good evening, Sire. Good to be here. Thanks for
Been
having
long,
me.
mate. Fair?
Yeah. Let's stay alive. If you stay alive alone, you're winning.
Exactly. In this home studio of mine, I'm alive, I'm alone, and I'm happy.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
So, my brother, and I'm going to share this with our viewers too. There are many advantages to buying and owning a franchise, and I'm going to count some of them that I know, at least that have been presented to me over the years. Franchises, we are told, offer independence of small business ownership, and then it's supported by the benefits of a big business network. If you're gonna own one here, then you are part of a network of many. You don't necessarily need business experience to run a franchise. We are told the franchisor will always provide the training you need to operate their business model. We are told they have a higher rate of success than startup businesses. We are told you may find easier to secure finance for a franchise. And you and I spoke about that. You're going to elaborate more. And they say it may cost a bit less to buy a franchise than start your own business of the same type. So if you're going to start a fried chicken business of your own, they say it may be more expensive than KFC or Chicken Licken. And I'm going to be mentioning franchises by name because we have to be realistic when we talk about them. And lastly, I'm told that franchises often have an established reputation and image, proven management and work practices, and they have access to national advertising and marketing and ongoing support. So you as the entrepreneur, you as the franchisee don't have to worry about those things. But is that the full picture? Coach, let's talk about this.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And like I said, in telling people to come and spend some time with us tonight, we are not trying to scare them. There are good sides to the franchise model, but you have to go in there with your eyes open. And the first thing is this: people need to recognize that, and this is the last thing we talked about. When people decide to franchise, when people's idea or business model gets to a certain point and they start to franchise, the idea is to make money. Their idea, the franchisor, the owner of the franchise's idea, is to make money. And the way the idea originates initially was when people could not raise that money. And they said, but we have a good model here, and our bankers don't want to give us money, finance people don't want to give them money. And they said, let's sell this thing to other people who will believe that it is sellable, and let's make them have a stake in the idea so that they don't give up on the stake, and they believe that, you buy their, what's the idea? To buy their commitment or something like that. You understand? And that's how the franchising model comes about. So you are the product in a way, but your success is tied, you as a franchisee, your success is tied to the success of the franchisor. And that's where the alignment of other things we'll talk about in the show come in. So yes, there are opportunities. You can make money, but there's a couple of things that we are going to be talking about that you need to be looking out for.
So, am I right though that it gives easier access of entry for somebody who's starting up without having to think hard about how to? Example. So let me say I model Talk with Rams as a product that can be given to different people. So somebody can now have a Talk with Rams to talk about modeling. Somebody does it about confectionery. Somebody does it about makeup and stuff like that. And I say, this is how we do it. This is the standard. And I've already built this brand. Does that make it easier for them to enter? On a fair basis, does it make it
There
easy?
is an element of the ease. You are moving from being a non-business person, or if the business doesn't exist, you are moving from zero to hero in a matter of seconds as soon as the store opens. As if it's a store, there are other conceptual ideas which don't need a real estate, for example. But you move from non-entity to a fully fledged business because the infrastructure will drill down into what the infrastructure entails, because the infrastructure exists and it doesn't just exist with you. You could be opening your store at 7 o'clock in the morning And at 1 minute past 7 on the TV across the street, an advert is playing on TV.
Yes.
It will never happen if you sell Mokwenya in Soweto. It will never happen. You understand? So somebody could just be walking across the street and saying, hey, I can buy coffee here, you know?
Yes.
So it gives you that economies of scale. It gives you that infrastructure, as one of our friends call it, which puts you in that business position immediately.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the ease of entrance that you're talking about. Yeah, absolutely.
Is that what makes it attractive to the funders? I mean, financial institutions over the years, including government financial institutions, have been very favorable to putting money behind franchises or franchises to allow us to get in and become franchisees.
If you take a number of items and put them into the pot of risk, and you take all the elements that goes up with setting up a business and funding the business, and then you're looking at it from a financing point of view, the what you call it, the franchise model comes out amongst the most successful ones. But if you drill down into the different models, there's a fair amount of risk, failure, success, and all that. And within amongst the most successful, for instance, the most successful one apparently is a franchise called Chica Flick, which we don't have in South Africa. Why?
Mhm.
The entry, the investment on that franchise is $10,000. $10,000 compared to us here is around
Just about
200.
180. Maybe
Yeah,
just about
200,000 rand. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and it's the most successful. It makes more money than McDonald's, where you have to put in the region of, in South African terms, around 12 million rand or thereabouts. So it's a huge a difference. So to answer your question, financiers like it because of the risk model thereof, in that if you fund 15 or 50 of those, at least 8 or 9 will succeed. Only 5 will fail, and then on average they will make more money. So out of it, the way they model their risk and chances of success, the fact that the franchise model is amongst the top models for them to fund.
Well, I find it very interesting. So these guys would rather I am more indebted, as long as they know that there is a bigger chance of success, but rather a bigger fee to pay them over a longer period of time, which then, of course, because they're in business as financiers, they make more money.
Absolutely, and it's all backed up by the stats, the data, and all that from the years of these guys failing and the others doing well. You may know, Rems, we had a nice debate with my wife Maubane about Chisanyama, for instance.
Yes.
So we know Chisanyama is a good idea. But the only guy who will take the thing up and mainstream it or institutionalize it is the guy who's going to do his research and actually say, or no, in this country of ours, this thing will work. But if you take this thing to Europe, for instance, maybe it will not work. You take it to Santon, maybe it will not work. But can you do something about this thing in the Maponya Mall or something like that? You see, and there's the kind of thinking. So it's not easy for these guys to say, fine, we are a banker, this is our risk model, we are going to feed it with this kind of data, this idea comes from Soweto. The algorithm, the algorithm says, no, this will not work. And this is how things like the franchise make it, but your very, very, very good idea about something like, for example, Stockfell. Stockfell there was an attempt at some stage where it was people were trying to package it, but even up until today, I think the Stockfell model is one of the best business ideas to ever come out of us. But people still wonder why we don't have a bank yet. But it's right there. It's right in front of our eyes. And nobody has ever done anything about it. Everybody wants to come up with their own, hey, let's do this. The Stockfell exists. So those are the kinds of things you take and package and actually franchise.
Does becoming a franchisee make me a business person, an entrepreneur, necessarily?
You asked me a relative question. I'm powerful. Yes, it does. We had a discussion in our previous talks where we said what makes a person an entrepreneur. You know, I would argue that a manager of a KFC, for instance, would make a hell of a good business person if they buy into the franchise model like KFC, because they know all the corners. Whereas a professional, for instance, and the way people relate to their professions is very, very personal. It's very different from person to person. You find a doctor, a very smart guy, we know it's about math and stuff like that, coming into KFC and not doing so well because the model doesn't align with his personality, and then they fail. So the business person, for instance, or the business facets in the person would tell that person which model to go for, which would make the returns in the time that he wants to make those returns, what would suit him more. That kind of research that happens before you actually commit to a franchise. That's what would separate the business person from the non-business person, because it's very easy, especially once you have the money, to make the commitment. And then once you've made the commitment, and then you discover, oh, hey, I must wake up every day when I'm not at work, and stuff like that. It's too late. It's too late at that stage. And to find out that, hey, we were the first people, we were the first men on the ball in this mall, but there's no traffic here. You know, that's where the business person or the business acumen would then kick in. The franchisor is trying to make money, so they're going to sell you the franchise as soon as they see or know you can raise the funds for it, and that you are liquid enough. That's all that they are looking at. When you sign that thing, they can also do, administer legal action if you don't follow their protocols. But yeah, let me not go get ahead of the discussion.
And we're gonna get the idea. So yeah. What about growth? So when I start a business, I've got a plan. I want to grow it in a particular way. As a franchisee, do I have that leeway, or my growth is dependent on the franchise model?
Your growth is absolutely dependent on the franchise model with their limitations. And this is the thing now, you cannot exercise new ideas and say, hey, I'm going to change this thing and come up with this new product, because consistency, if you read up or you dig up a little bit on franchises, the first word that really hits you for a long time is consistency. When the customer buys that fish, that snook in Cape Town, in that store, that fish must taste the same in Joburg, Cape Town, whatever. The colors, the look, the feel, everything that they do, it must be consistent. And they work hard at it, because if somebody can take a picture of a rat with the label of a cup next to it because an employee forgot to remove the cup, the entire chain suffers because somebody took a picture of a rat somewhere else. So there's an interdependency. They feed off each other. So to answer your question, yes, you can grow. There can be growth if the brand, for instance, is successful. If the brand is running good marketing in a season, for instance, and people are talking about this whatever new ice cream, Woolies, for instance, and everybody's going there buying packets and packets of it. So the franchise benefits of that, the marketing and all that. They make a funny advert, an advert that rhymes with you. Today, go next door. Hey, people are like that. You do what other people do, and then everybody goes, and you do well in that time. And but there's other models as well. It's these things. If you're in the petrol industry, for instance, if you're a garage person, other people are loyal just to the garage because they used to stop there and that's what bus and stuff like that. But there are other people who can be swayed by that good ad when everybody was singing together and that kind of thing. But what has also happened is the packaging. The packaging. These guys didn't make a lot of money, but now they're making a lot of money off the store of that thing. Somebody has put in a whole gambling franchise into a garage. And they can gamble there as well. So there's all those mixtures, and other franchises will allow you that, but mostly they don't allow you that for risk of Baraking, what's the word for Baraking, blemishing, for lack of a better word, for blemishing the
Yes.
brand.
So is it harsh to say that practically when you own a franchise, you almost are like running a branch of somebody else's business?
And if absolutely, but if that brand is doing well, I would rather sit there and let the money come in. You see, I would rather just sit there. The problem is when there's no traffic. The problem is when the franchise is selling something which just next door. There's a guy from Texdorp, Yanni van Nicker, who moved in, and he's selling your product for less than half the price. And it's a good product. Then you have a problem because you can't respond. The next thing that's going to happen is that your store is going to close. My cousin, your golfer friend, had a similar experience in town.
Yeah.
And then after he moved, you know, and people went to Pick and Pay to buy the same food for less than half the price that he was selling it at, and he couldn't compete with it, and he had to, unfortunately, and you know how hard he worked.
Yes,
but he,
yes.
as a result
And you know,
so
what he also lacked, which was very sad, was the freedom. You spoke about that earlier. So I've had an experience with Clive where at the time he was running the Cape in Dorego, I had a butcher shop.
Yes.
And I made patties for him. One day he had run out of patties, so I made him patties just to finish that Friday afternoon. He called me the very next morning, and I panicked because when he called, I thought, "Oh God, what went wrong?" He says, "Mate, people want those patties I had last night. People who are regulars here, they tasted your patties and they says, so between the two of us, can you bring me some more patties?" You know, which exactly. I did again, which was great. Now my patties were 100% beef. We did not use fat. They were 100% beef. And I was still cheaper than the patties that he was getting from the franchisor. So he thought, let's do it the right way. He then introduced me to the franchisor to say, why can't this guy provide to all of our franchisees? Because people like this thing. We then took the patties to 3 other franchisees to taste, and they gave the same response, feedback. We love it. But that didn't fly. You know why? Because the supplier of the other patties was linked to the franchisor, and they were not going to take away the business from that guy. And that's part of the reason. So Clive was saying, but my burger is expensive when it could be cheaper with a much better burger from this guy. So he had no liberty to do whatever he wanted to do with that Captain Doreo.
Exactly. And there's the infrastructure I was talking about now. You see what these guys do is that they're going to open up a franchise of stationery, right? You are going to be the front end. You are going to be Mr. Stationery, whatever. So whoever wants to buy their kit, they make an ad, everything, the campaigns and stuff like that are focused on your product. You are in the public eye. What happens behind the scenes is that your raw materials, your stock is bought from the same guys, but through a different name. And they have lines and they have minimum prices and that kind of thing, which must be circulated back into the ecosystem. So it's an ecosystem infrastructure, whichever name you want to use. But there are people that you can buy from, and you can only buy from those people. And then so you become enmeshed into this ecosystem, and you don't have a say in it, unfortunately. And those are the kinds of things which become difficult. You are selling him a much better Peter, the meat and people loved it. That alone should have told these guys or not. But they're making money from that supplier. Exactly. Because they're sending clients to him in the form of the franchisees, and the franchisees and then they're also making money of that. So the franchisor is the person that makes the money. Anyway, you want to be the franchisor.
Okay, so look, we left it about 5 minutes. Is there something that flies for franchisees? You know, somebody's watching us, is listening to us, somebody's a franchisee, somebody's currently signing a form to become a franchisee, somebody has just cashed in on their retirement and they're thinking, I could get into whatever, Postnet or whatever these things are.
And there's
what could work?
It can work. There's plenty of them. People only, the problem is people look at Nando's and this and this and this and this and that. There's massage. There's many things. There's many types of franchises that exist. And if you make a bit of research, you can actually do very well. But what I want to let people know is that the first thing that you need to do is that the franchise that you decide to go with, the requirements thereof need to go with the personality that you are. You need to be a hands-on person. Yeah. I was talking to a common friend just earlier. He's not been able to return my call. But just earlier, he was telling me that they were actually doing so well that their mistake was to move a bit away from the business and delegate more, because there was just so much to do, because the business was doing so much, making so much money. But in doing that, they removed themselves from the business to the extent that their staff was bringing their own stock to the pub and selling their own. They see sales are happening, and then they only get $10, but there was 1,000 people in the pub. So you need to be hands-on. You need to be hands-on. The other thing is around
let me interrupt you there. Let me interrupt you there. This hands-on thing brings a comment from one of our very loyal followers, the Global Business Connect. It says, so actually, if you put it that way, you are nothing but a glorified employee if you're going to be there 24/7.
I did mention earlier, I will be a happy employee if it makes money. You will be, because then it works. Then it works. You can partner with other people. Rams, mang, you partner with the guys, you start with one. But the agreement between the partners needs to be very clear, or who's going to be the guy that sits at the shop, because somebody needs to sit at the business, do what they need to do, because you cannot delegate the franchise to someone else. And then how do you open up? Because the other thing is that when you hit the sweet spot of franchises is more franchises. You know, it's more franchises. Some people believe in the food and then they go with the food. Other people make a mix-up. They will go to technology, into hardware, into other things. And then they have this number of businesses and all they do is play golf. Other people have got it right. Understand? But at the get-go, when you start, you need to know where the rands and the cents are coming from. And that's why before you commit, you need to spend, for my humble view, spend at least a couple of months with the different stores. You know, go to where there's a high traffic, low traffic, and then see what kinds of monies these people are talking about, the turnover, because you have to pay a monthly royalty to the franchisor of, sometimes it's 10%, 12%, not of profit, not profit, of total revenue.
Geez, that's a lot of money. If my revenue is R1 million a month, I'm giving this guy a lot of money every month.
100 grand before your expenses. Nah, Joe. Before your expenses. So it's those kinds of things. But there are sweet spots, like I'm saying. Don't go in with your entire pension money. Take 10%, get other 10 people, get really 10, agree on who's going to run the show. And then if it doesn't go well, you only lose 10% of your money.
I love that advice. It's so important. So in a nutshell, we're not saying franchises are wrong. We're saying think differently. Don't take the script as given to you by the franchisee, the franchisor. Work around it. Find other partners. Understand the business, but also understand yourself. If you're not the type of guy who's going to stand in the till for the whole day, you're like me, you want to play golf. Don't go in.
Don't go in. Yeah. Absolutely. That's the summary.
You see why I've been missing you? This is the wisdom I've been missing. This is the kind of wisdom I've been missing. Coach, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
It's been great. We shall see you soon. I'll tell you how I get him to talk. I watch his comments on Facebook and say, we gotta talk about this. We gotta talk about this. So I'll be watching you, and then you come up with another gem. We bring you back on air. But Edwin Matlapeng, it's been wonderful having you, mate. Have a great day.
Back off.
Thank you so much. And folks, thank you very much for watching. Everybody on Instagram and Facebook, thank you. We shall also post on YouTube shortly. Thank you very much, Fred. Tomorrow is Thursday. You know what we do on Thursdays. From me, Rams Mabote, good night and God bless.
Good night.